To introduce myself really quick, my name is Parker. I am the Health and Wellbeing Specialist in Risk Services. I create the programming, the workshops for campus and for departments. I also run the wellness challenges, just anything to help support the health and well-being of our faculty and staff here at UC Santa Cruz. I have a master's in nutrition and health coaching. So talking about things like health and longevity is one of my passions, one of my purposes. And that's something that we'll also talk about later today as well. But my goal is to help folks like you incorporate healthy habits into your day-to-day routines that makes it easy for you that you can incorporate them into your own unique lives. For health, it is really common to think that improving our health requires really big changes. But today we'll explore the question of whether small everyday habits can make a really big impact. So folks in the blue zones, which we'll talk about today, really do know this best. These areas support the longest living communities over the world. And as we go through today, I invite you to think about the habits and the things that you do that are already working for you and supporting your health. And keep an eye out for any small opportunities where you might start to make a shift. So today we'll be talking about blue zones, of course, but also the habits that contribute to their longevity. So movement, nutrition, stress management, social connection, and life's purpose. Then we'll talk a little bit about how you can incorporate that into your lifestyle. So to start, I'd love to hear from you. If you could add 5 additional healthy years onto your life, what are some things that you'd like to do with that time? You can come off mute or you can drop it into the chat. Sleep. Love. Yeah. Spend time with family and lots of travel. Yeah, thanks everyone for sharing. Maybe even travel to some of the blue zones. Oh yes, watch the young folks grow up. See how things change over time. Amazing. Thank you everyone for sharing. These are all wonderful uses of time, and today we'll talk about different ways that we could maximize getting more of it. Garden, yes. Hope you're enjoying getting spring gardening underway. So, yes, as you know, blue zones are pockets around the world that have a higher concentration of centenarians, which are folks who live to the late 90s or even past the age of 100. Meanwhile, in America, the life expectancy of Americans born today is about 78.2 years. So there must be something about these places that helps to support their excuse me, long living populations. What they are doing is, or what they aren't doing is following tons of diet trends. They're not going to the gym every day or taking a bunch of supplements or biohacking. But we do still see a reduced risk of chronic diseases like cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and lower rates of dementia. So where did this idea of blue zones come from? Quick question. Has anyone read the Blue Zones book? Or maybe even, I know there's a documentary on Netflix. Have the book, very cool. Cookbook, yes. Saw the documentary, awesome. Cool. So it seems like a lot of us have some background too. So hopefully this can help with a few new ideas that you might try to incorporate this into your life. But as a quick recap for folks who have not seen any of those things. Um, Back in the late 90s, there was an Italian demographer called Gianni Pez, and he was studying aging patterns in Sardinia. He noticed something unusual, that there were pockets of villages where people weren't living to their 80s. They were reaching their late 90s and past their 100s at higher rates than we would expect. So he started mapping them, and he presented his research findings at a conference in 1999, where he was connected with Michel Poulin, a demographer who specialized in verifying ages. And in their travels, every time they confirmed a centenarian, they marked it on the map with a blue dot. And over time, clusters of these blue dots started to appear, and that's where we get the term blue zones. Around the same time, a National Geographic journalist named Dan Buettner was sent to investigate another place of long living people in Okinawa, Japan. And so a new question surfaced. Where else in the world are there long living people? And what do all of these spaces have in common? To be considered a blue zone, the region has to show a statistically higher longevity as compared to the rest of the country and share patterns across lifestyle, environment, and daily behavior. The original 5 blue zones stood out among the rest, and these original 5 were from Loma Linda in Southern California, Nicoya, Costa Rica, Sardinia, Italy, Ikaria, Greece, and Okinawa, Japan. However, there is some debate over the original research that determined these blue zone areas, but the healthy habits that supported these communities into their old age still hold true, and that's what we'll get into today. It's quite common to have the belief that our genetics really do define our long-term health. However, the research shows that this isn't necessarily the case. Using data from the National Health Interview Survey cohort, in 2024, a study looked at 5 healthy lifestyle behaviors and defined them as physical activity, vegetable and fruit intake, maintaining a normal weight, avoiding excessive drinking, and not smoking. When they analyzed the data, they found that participants adhering to all 5 behaviors gained an average 7.13 years of healthy life and reduced annual healthcare costs of 28.12%. These habits are also reflected in Blue Zones communities, but these behaviors are not a product of healthy choices that they make or necessarily even willpower. These habits are just the default choice because they're embedded into their environment and repeated on a daily basis. In these blue zones, we see physically healthy communities where folks don't actually work out or go to the gym really. Movement is naturally built into their daily routines. In Sardinia, the area is mountainous, and Sardinians are shepherding people and walk 5 miles on average up and down the mountainside on a daily basis. In Ikaria, walking is the preferred transportation method, and this is due to the hilly terrain. Cars don't work quite as well as feet. In Okinawa, they're known for gardening and low seating lifestyles, which require lower leg strength and mobility even into later years. In Nicoya, daily chores like cleaning, cooking, and gardening are all done with manual tools and not necessarily convenient devices. And in Loma Linda, the Seventh-day Adventist community enjoys gardening and mindful nature walks on a daily basis. These environments that they lived in gently nudged these folks into movement about once every 20 minutes or so. So it's consistent and throughout the day. And studies show that more interruptions in sedentary time were associated with improved metabolic risk variables, including lower blood glucose levels and blood lipid levels. But why is that? When we use our muscles, we're also using energy. This process lowers blood glucose by pulling it out of our bloodstream and into our muscles so we can use it. So, what are some ideas on where you can start? You can add on to movements that you're already doing. For instance, when you walk, try to walk faster. When you clean, make it more active and challenge yourself to finish it quickly. You can take the long way around a building or visit a bathroom that's further away or trade even just one elevator ride for a flight of stairs. And if you have to stay where you are, you can also do chair exercises. These are all examples of exercise snacks, which are quick sessions of movement, usually 1 to 3 minutes long, and you can sprinkle them throughout your routine and throughout your day. This can be especially helpful if finding a chunk of time for exercise, if that happens to be hard to fit into your routine. Breaking it up over time with exercise snacks can be really helpful. Evidence for exercise snacks benefits report improvement in cardiovascular and respiratory function. So our hearts work better, our lungs get stronger. And we also see improvements in fitness and power. The more exercise snacks you can sneak in, the better. For instance, if you do 10 body weight squats every time you visit the bathroom, you can easily sneak in 50 to even 100 squats a day. For meetings that don't require the camera on, that's a great opportunity to march in place and sneak in some movement. And you might even start to look forward to meetings like that. Maybe you're even doing that now. If you have a more active job, you are moving throughout the day, you might add a few quick stretch breaks to your day too. And this can help support your flexibility and reduce risk of injury. But overall, the point is that every movement counts, even the really small ones, and they all add up throughout the day. How many of you have heard this quote from Michael Pollan? Eat food, not too much, and mostly plants. A few of us. Very cool. I know this is a very popular sentiment in the health and well-being space. And this idea fully embodies the dietary patterns of Blue Zone communities. Each region does have its own particularities, but they all have methods to practice portion control, and each of these communities' diets are comprised of over 90% plant foods, some seafood, and just a little meat, often consumed once a month or for special occasions. The Okinawans have a practice called hara hachubu, which means stop eating when 80% full. This practice of portion control helps to reduce overeating, especially since it takes about 20 minutes for your brain to even register that your stomach is adequately full. So being mindful and slowing down and paying attention can be really helpful in this place. In Loma Linda and Ikaria, they prioritize breakfast as the most substantial meal of the day because it provides them with the energy and nutrition to start the day. Lunch is hearty without being heavy. Dinner tends to be early and is the smallest meal of the day. And eating in this way helps to regulate our body's metabolism and also regulate insulin sensitivity for the rest of the day ahead. Leaving dinner for the lightest meal helps to keep our process of digesting food for our waking hours, which we should be digesting while we are awake. And then that means during nighttime, it's reserved for restful sleep and body repair. Getting nutrition primarily from plants boost health and longevity due to the high consumption of fiber, antioxidants, micronutrients, and polyphenols. Diets that are high in fiber are also associated with improved insulin sensitivity, blood lipid profiles, blood cholesterol, and even improved mental well-being. Alternatively, studies that evaluate ultra-processed foods that are high in salt, sugar, and added fats show an association with increased risk of cardiovascular disease. The Mediterranean diet of Icaria and Sardinia is quite famously known for its extensive mental, physical, and heart-protected health benefits. It prioritizes leafy green vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, legumes like beans, also seafood, nuts, fruit, lower non-fat dairy, and healthy fats like olive oil. This pattern of eating provides a concentrated source of heart protective fiber and also plenty of inflammation fighting antioxidants. But if you don't quite prefer Mediterranean food, that's not a problem. Don't worry. Looking at the Mediterranean diet as an overall eating pattern is important here. So, with that, any cultural dietary pattern can be comparable to the Mediterranean diet. And there are even scores that you can evaluate yourself on. But as long as the way you eat satisfies the characteristics that we just listed, then it's comparable to the health benefits of the Mediterranean diet. For example, the Okinawan diet is famously known for their consumption of Okinawan sweet potatoes or Japanese sweet potatoes and purple Japanese sweet potatoes. Potatoes as a food can sometimes get a bad rap, but they're actually quite high in fiber and nutrition, especially when you keep the skin on and cook them with heart-healthy methods like steaming or roasting. Potatoes are also some of the most satisfying carbohydrate foods, so they keep you fuller for longer and help to prevent overeating. The Okinawans also are known for growing their own dark leafy green vegetables, including plenty of soy products that are high in antioxidant properties, and making their own homemade pickles with lots of natural probiotics to support gut health. In all, concentrate on eating whole foods, meaning foods that are minimally changed from their natural state. So if you can think about how the food is growing and the minimal processing involved, then the closer you can get to whole foods eating. This fills your plate with a lot of nutrient-dense foods, and it means that you're maximizing nutrition with foods that are lower also in calories. The nutrients in this eating pattern include concentrated levels of cholesterol-lowering soluble fiber, that's a mouthful, glucose-regulating insoluble fiber, and micronutrients like vitamins and minerals that are all really important to keeping your metabolism running optimally. So eat plant-based foods with every meal and with a variety of colors. And this is how you can avoid nutrient deficiencies. And it's not only fresh vegetables and fruits, but you can also include some minimally processed forms like frozen, canned, and cooked. If you are feeling though like you need to overhaul your whole diet, don't worry. Even adding just one extra serving on vegetables to your day can show a positive effect, and the research very much supports that. You can start your day with a green smoothie, maybe pack baby carrots and hummus for a snack, add chickpeas to a salad, or eat an apple in the afternoon. And like we mentioned, the idea is to eat whole foods as much as possible, as often as possible. And if balanced eating is something that you are trying to develop more of a skill, then you can use this deliciously balanced plate method from the American Heart Association. For this, you start with half of your plate as non-starchy vegetables and fruits. A quarter of the plate is for complex carbs or whole grains, and a quarter of the plate is for lean protein. There are abundant plant-based sources of protein. These are our legumes like beans, and they are an incredible source of protein, soluble fiber, and minerals. So black beans, pinto beans, chickpeas, garbanzo beans, which I learned in my adult years only that those are the same thing. Also including peas, lentils, and edamame. Soy foods like tofu and tempeh are also great sources, as well as nuts and seeds. And some animal-based options include skinless poultry like chicken and turkey, also seafood, non-fat or low-fat dairy. And for those times, if you are eating red meat, you can choose lean options like cuts of loins or 93% or higher ground meat. The blue zones regions also really love their carbs. And the key is that the staples that they include are whole grain and complex carb options. So oats, barley, brown rice, corn, quinoa, whole wheat sourdough bread, those are all great whole grain options. They retain all parts of the grain and are packed with B vitamins, minerals, and even protein. Complex carbs include potatoes, like Okinawan sweet potatoes, and also legumes like we just mentioned, and fruit as well. If you don't have a plate, that's totally fine. You can apply this method to a bowl. But if it doesn't apply to a single meal or a snack, you can zoom out and look at your whole day and eating throughout the day as a whole. There is even space for the occasional bag of chips and a sweet here and there. You can apply this plate method in those cases by rounding out the nutrition by adding other additions like non-fat Greek yogurt or berries. But do keep in mind that it's not about perfection. It's about maintaining a habit long term. And so let's hear from you. What are some of your favorite vegetable side dishes? They can be things that you cook or maybe even pick up a convenient option. Asparagus. Oh my gosh, it's asparagus season right now too. Napa cabbage, delicious. Purple cabbage, beautiful. Mushrooms, broccolini, fancy broccoli. Ooh, herb salad, roasted asparagus or Brussels sprouts, and baked sweet potato, cauliflower, baby bok choy. Awesome. Thanks everyone for sharing. Maybe you get some ideas that you would like to try when you get home today. All right, moving on. You may have heard that some of the health and longevity benefits from certain Blue Zones communities come from drinking moderate amounts of alcohol, including wine. This is my PSA that there are serious health risks associated with consuming alcohol, and I would never encourage anyone to start drinking or drink more alcohol. But instead, I'd like to pose this question of, is it really the wine that's providing the health benefit? Or might it be the accumulation of getting regular physical activity, prioritizing plant-based foods, making time for social connection, and slowing down, releasing stress that all additively support our health? There are maybe antioxidants in wine, but there are also plenty of antioxidants in plant foods, including fruits. And statistically, 80% of Americans aren't eating enough fruit anyway, so this is a great place to start. If blood sugar is a concern for you, you can pair your fruit with healthy fats, protein, and more complex carbs like oats, maybe unsalted mixed nuts, chia seed pudding, or non-fat Greek yogurt. And these all can help balance blood sugar absorption. Moving on to releasing stress. Practicing stress management is not a luxury for folks in blue zones. Residents have daily rituals that help shed stress and help them to downshift their mind into a calmer state. They do things like connect movement and nature. They make time for prayer and they laugh with each other. Movement is quite an impactful stress management technique. It's good for our health and it's really good for mental health as well. It directly impacts stress by processing the excess energy that's released during stressful situations. And it also helps to process stress hormones. If you can take a moment to spend some time in outdoors, nature can also inspire feelings of gratitude and awe, while also at the same time helping to clear the mind and reduce feelings of anxiety. Research shows that nature can also cause a reduction in heart rate, blood pressure, and stress markers. And the exciting thing is that we have seen benefits within as little as 5 minutes. And we do see benefits with regular exposures as well. So if you can, on your next walk, try taking a mindful walk without any music, without any podcasts. Just be present with yourself and with nature. But here's a fun nature tip as well. Studies show a down regulation of stress when folks look at images of nature or even at indoor plants. So you can keep that in mind if you can't get outside. Some other ideas: set aside time for mindfulness and for prayer. This is what the Seventh-day Adventists do in Loma Linda. Or you can take time to remember your ancestors, like the Okinawans, or laugh like the Sardinians. The Sardinians, in particular, are known for their sense of humor. They take time every day to gather with friends and neighbors and laugh with each other. And laughter has been shown to have incredible stress reducing benefits by suppressing stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, while also enhancing dopamine and serotonin, which are our feel good hormones. Laughter can also help to increase our overall sense of well-being, and we see this across all age groups and all genders. You can even say that Sardinians, as part of their culture, practice not taking life too seriously as well. So much so that it gets embedded into how their brain thinks. By practicing particular emotions, you can rewire your brain. And this is the process known as neuroplasticity. Your brain grows new connections that make it easier for you to automatically cultivate these feelings in the future. So, doing things like not taking life too seriously and maintaining a positive outlook as much as possible can help to reduce stress levels, while having a negative mindset can amplify stress. So at the end of the day, our perceptions of a situation is really powerful in determining how stressed we feel and our attitudes towards approaching it. Next, we have good sleep. Sleep is a cornerstone to health and longevity. And doing things like moving our bodies and managing stress really do help to improve our quality of sleep. Getting good quality sleep helps to lower the heart rate, lower blood pressure, clear out mental stress, repair the body, and strengthen the immune system. The Akarians love a good nap, and folks who regularly nap are up to 35% less likely to die from heart disease. And if you are someone with a shift schedule or has a hard time getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, napping could be a really great habit to adopt. But if you have an 8 to 5 work schedule, sometimes fitting in a nap may not make sense for you. So try building out a stress releasing routine like meditation, mindfulness, deep breathing, stretching, or making time for a relaxing hobby. The Blue Zone centenarians place a really high priority on their families. They put their loved ones first day after day, and it really pays off in supporting their longevity. Their efforts that they spend tending to their families, their relationships, and with their children are major contributors. So, for example, Nicoyan centenarians tend to live with their families throughout their lives. They provide caregiving for their grandchildren, and they also provide wisdom and support to the family as a whole, while also gaining a sense of purpose and belonging. Down the line, their children provide support to them as well as they care for their aging parents. Sardinians assure that every member of their family is cared for, and research shows that people who live in strong, healthy families show lower levels of stress and improved mental health. So dedicate time to be totally present with your family. Spend quality time without phones or distracting screens. Share a meal together when you can, and that can add another layer of stress reducing benefits. Take a family walk or catch up on the phone with phone calls, maybe even FaceTime. And when you're on the phone, maybe pace around a little bit. You might actually be really surprised by the numbers of steps that you take, especially if you have a great long catch up phone call. So let's hear from you again. What are some activities that you like to do to help feel closer to your families? Let's see, cook with family, much fun. Playing with kids, sharing stories, games, cooking, walking to watch the sunset. Oh, that's sweet. Going on hikes, catching up with calls, lunch out, connecting over food, taking a walk by Pisno Beach, inviting family to go on walks, reading books together, go to sporting events. So much fun. Thanks everyone for sharing. Hanging out with your family, having experiences like these naturally helps to share your stories about your lives, get closer, have those intimate conversations, and share a lot of memories. Next, we have strong social ties. So social connection is important not only for our families, but also with our larger communities as well. And Blue Zone areas place a really strong emphasis on social connection. Humans are social creatures, which means that the need for social support is embedded into our biology, even if you are an introverted person like myself. When we feel lonely, the body can shift into a fight or flight stress response, and this can have effects on our mental health. It can deplete our physical health, including weakening the cardiovascular system, creating hormone imbalances, disturbances in sleep, reduced metabolism, and weakened immunity. Strong relationships help to counter this by reducing stress. They offer the opportunity for emotional support and it creates a reliable network for us in our times of need. They also help to shape our behaviors. Being in communities that enjoy healthy habits like movement, nutritious eating, and stress management are all habits that are easier for us to maintain because we have folks around us that model them and help to reinforce them. Having that social support as well can activate the brain's reward system, which further enforces those healthy habits and make them more likely to stick. And this is why longevity-focused lifestyles flourish in supportive communities. For example, Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda often spend time with other Adventists who share their same values, reinforce their healthy routines, and support overall well-being. In Okinawa, people form moai, which are tight-knit social groups that provide consistent emotional support and sometimes even financial support. They often meet almost daily, and if one of their members don't show up, they head out and even go check on them to make sure that they are okay. So get to know your neighbors, join community groups, maybe parenting groups, volunteer, and connect with others that share your interests. Surrounding yourself with support and other people in your community helps to make healthy living more sustainable and a lot more enjoyable. And finally, we've come full circle. So back to life's purpose. Having a strong sense of meaning can have a measurable impact on how long and also how well we live. One Canadian study followed 6,000 people over 14 years and found that those who could clearly articulate their sense of purpose had a 15% lower risk of dying. Another study from the National Institute on Aging found that people with a strong sense of purpose lived up to 7 years longer than those who did not. Having a strong sense of meaning, purpose, and spirituality are all associated with better health behaviors, improved health outcomes, lower mortality, and a higher quality of life. But why is that? Your life's purpose shows up in your daily choices. When your actions are tied to something more meaningful, healthy behaviors just become more intentional. You might exercise to have energy to care for your loved ones or eat well so that you can be present for future family milestones. In Japan, there's this concept called ikigai, which is their reason for being. It's described as the intersection between what you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. Nicoyans have a plan de vida. Their contributions to their family and community help them feel needed and motivated to contribute. Additionally, a sense of meaning is often strengthened through faith or belonging to a larger community. And research shows that people who regularly practice in faith-based or spiritual communities tend to live longer. But this doesn't require formal religion if that's not your thing. Having faith in general in something bigger than yourself or feeling connected to a larger community can offer similar benefits. So get clear on your purpose, and you can start by taking a moment for reflection. Even if you are clear on your purpose, it's great to check in because this can ebb, this can flow as time goes on as well. But you can do this by asking yourself really simple questions. For example, what surprised or touched or inspired me today? Or what are the things that I'm grateful for? Your purpose can, but it doesn't have to be complex. It can be something as simple as What gets you out of your bed in the morning? Maybe it's your children, maybe it's a creative passion or a hobby that you enjoy purely for yourself. It can also be the work that you do, the impact on your community, whatever it is for you. So before we leave today, I'd like to remind you of one of the most important ideas, which is it's not perfection that drives health and longevity. What drives health and longevity is consistency, and it's showing up for these habits day after day. So we did talk about quite a few things. So instead of asking yourself, how do I do all of this and incorporate it into my life right now? Try shifting the question to something like, what's one or two small and realistic changes that I can add that I can actually stick with right now? You can also ask, how can I make any changes to my environment to make those habits easier? It might be keeping healthy food options visible and easy to grab. It might be building movement on top of something that you already do, or inviting someone to join you in an activity so it becomes social, or creating a wind down routine to end your day. When your environment supports you, it can help make the healthy choice the easier choice so you don't have to rely on motivation every time. And you don't also need to completely change your life. Small shifts here and there, consistently done over time, can help to reshape your habits in really big ways. So start by picking just one or two things to start off with. Make it really, really easy so that you can do it day after day. And when that becomes a consistent habit, you can always add on to it as well. But my challenge for you today is to think of one small addition that you can make to support your health and longevity. So something small that you can do this afternoon, maybe this evening, to help support your life. So thank you everyone for joining.